to plan some remodeling projects. America spends more than, and I didn't know this, $200 billion each year on upgrading their homes. And here today to help us avoid the money pit syndrome is Dr. Audrey Gusky of Duquesne University. Good morning.
Good morning, Brenda.
Okay, first thing you do. Something's falling apart at the house, you call in a contractor, or do you do that?
Well, let me first of all say that $200 billion, I think I spent half of it last year. I have a big old 100-year-old Victorian home in Bridgeville, and you name it, I've done it. Ripped out walls.
But you're the expert. Did you do it right?
Well, I'm very blessed because my cousin Tom is my expert. He's my contractor. So he and I, hand in hand, side by side, are putting in waterfalls, and we took out a kitchen and put in a closet, redid dormers.
Can we all call Cousin Tom?
Well, I can give you his phone number afterward, Brenda.
Okay.
He is the best. But a lot of times people don't have someone that they can depend upon, that they trust. And so what do? You literally have to do your homework. You have to research the contractors. You have to look at pieces that they've done, work they've done before. Check Better Business Bureau. Craigslist is a good way. It's an online website that will suggest the good and the bad the different service providers are doing. You really want to know what you want particularly. You have to study through magazines, websites to determine, look at neighbors.
That's a lot of work.
It's an awful lot of work, but it's well worth it because the bottom line is you want an end result that is cost effective as well as the best possible quality of your home, because it is your home. And they found, Brenda, that the amount of money that you spend in improving your home could come off completely as a capital investment. So in other words, if you're selling your home and whatever money you're investing in it, the profit that you make by selling your home will be completely subtracted by the home remodeling. So that's a big issue. A lot of people are doing it themselves now. So, you know, you have to determine. Well, a lot of people find that it's a nice stress release. It's a nice bragging rights to your neighbors to say, you know, I put in this room, or I added this addition to my home.
I know a lot of my friends are watching those home shows on cable and trying to do things themselves, but I know that I could not do it. But what's the biggest mistake that most people make?
Well, the biggest mistake is not knowing what they want ahead of time and then hiring someone too quickly, not really doing their research and their literally homework on them. And so what you want to do is figure out what the costs are going to be. You've got what you call a ripple effect, and you've got a project creep. You have to be careful of each of these two problems. The ripple effect is, it's like the waves in an ocean. You do one particular you start a project, and then what happens is, oh my gosh, we redid the bathroom. Now the hallway looks pretty shabby. And then we did the hallway, we need new carpeting for the bedroom, etc. And so you expand that. So you want to be careful of that. Also the creep effect. You start remodeling your kitchen, but you find out that the walls weren't stable enough, and so you have to redo those, and you have to it just costs significantly more. So you have to be careful. Get estimates as to how much everything's going to cost and hopefully stay within your budget. Also, I think people need to be very careful. As a contractor is working, I would say, not that you want to spy on them, but keep track of what they're doing.
Oh, my mother would.
Well, videotaping and pictures a lot of times to document things. You never pay your contractor completely. You only pay them in thirds. Third before they start, a third as they're progressing, and then at the end hold a third of the money off. Because if they get all the money, there's no motivation or excuse for them to literally come back and do a good job for you.
But how do you keep that spending in check? I mean, as you said, you look at the hallway because you've done the living room or something. How do you keep that spending in check? Because if you tell me that, Brenda, you have $1,000 to spend, I will spend $999.99. So how do you keep that? And I may go over, but how do you keep the spending in check?
Well, one way to do it is if you get estimates from 3 contractors. So that way, hopefully, they'll take a look at the full project and try to determine what's going to happen. You want to make sure that they're including their costs, removal of all the items, all the garbage, and disposing of that, because that tends to be a big cost as well. And I would say, once again, just keep checking prices and keep upon it. But I think before you start, you really need to estimate as best as you can how much everything's going to cost. But, you know, sometimes there's hidden things you can't anticipate and you can't expect.
The time frame, when do you say, look, you've been here too long, this should have been finished 2 years ago? How do you figure that out? Well,
hopefully they give you a time estimate as well as a cost estimate, and that way they would let you know how long it's going to be. Because the longer that a contractor is in your home, of course, the more money it's costing you too. But hopefully they'll give you time frames, because their time is their money as well. And the quicker a contractor moves through that particular project for you and on to someone else, the more money they're making. So hopefully there won't be any major problems that is going to hold them back. But once again, get a time estimate as well as a budget.
But an estimate is just that, an estimate. Now, how much over the real cost should the estimate be?
Well, typically you want to keep it within 10%, but you know, but if you get it in writing as to how much the job is going to cost, then if the contractor goes over, then it's their responsibility. So you really want to get things legally. You may even want to have an attorney take a look at it if it's a huge addition, huge project, very expensive, just to make sure that everything is legal, and in case something does happen, as far as costs going completely over, double or triple what you had estimated, then you'll have some legal ramifications for that as well.
And other than your attorney, if the whole thing turns out to be a big mess, are there steps you should take? Who should you go to?
Absolutely. Better Business Bureau is one way to do it. Locally, you also want to hit Craigslist. That's, as we talked about, a website to do that. You want to take legal action as much as you can. So there's a lot of options that you have, but document everything is always my advice. Pictures, documentation, legal documents.
All right, Audrey. Thank you. Good to see you.
Always fun with home improvement, Brenda. 101.
That's right. Okay. Well, that was Dr. Audrey Guskey, marketing professor at Duquesne University. You can look for Audrey's segments the first Tuesday of every month right here live on Pittsburgh Today Live.